Laura initially hesitated when these friends proudly shared their surgical journeys. They spoke openly about the pain, the cost, and the ultimate reward, a perfect figure that attracted wealthy men willing to spend huge sum of money on gifts and vacations. But the more Laura witnessed their glossy, confident life, the more she found the idea enticing. She liked the thought of never feeling insecure about her looks. Fumi and Shady grew up as best friends in a cozy neighborhood in Ibadan, where the scents of roasted plantain often drifted through the warm evening air. Their families lived in simple adjoining houses built close together with a narrow space that served as a shared corridor. Every morning, the two friends would wake up to the sound of cocks crowing and women chatting around the neighborhood. They began their day by sweeping the front of their homes, chatting about the dreams they had had the night before. Sometimes, Shade would nudge Fumi and whisper excitedly, "Last night, I dreamt we traveled to Abuja and I ate ice cream as big as a mountain." Fumi would laugh and roll her eyes, replying, "Shade, your love for ice cream is legendary. One day, you might just turn into a cone." After they finished their chores, the girls hurried to fetch water from the communal tap at the end of the road. The old tap always had a small crowd of neighbors waiting for their turns. Fumi and Shade would joke with the younger kids and greet the older ones respectfully. The women in line often smiled at the pair and said, "Ah, see them. These two are always together. It's good to have a friend like that." Sometimes the water pressure was low and they had to wait a long time. They passed the time by telling stories or challenging each other to tongue twisters, giggling until their cheeks hurt. Once they were home, it was time for breakfast, usually hot akara or fried yam with a little sauce, and then off to school. The walk to school was another chance to chat. Shade kept bringing up the big life she wanted to live. "Fumi, imagine us in a huge city with tall buildings everywhere. We will have so many nice things and we will eat fancy meals every day." Fumi would nod, picturing the glamorous images in her head. Yet, she also felt a soft spot for Ibadan's calmness. Their school was a modest one, with cracked walls and a dusty football field. Nonetheless, Fumi and Shade found joy in every corner. They sat together in the second row of the classroom, sharing textbooks whenever one forgot to bring hers. If Fumi had extra money for snacks, she will always split it with Shade, and Shade did the same when her mother gave her pocket money. During break time, they and their classmates played games like Suwe, hopscotch, or ten-ten. Shade's laughter echoed through the field whenever Fumi leaped awkwardly on one foot, attempting not to land outside the lines. When they got back to class, sweaty and tired, their teacher often teased them, "Fumi and Shade, you two cannot be separated even with a knife, can you?" At home in the evenings, they helped their mothers make dinner. Sometimes they pounded yam or cut vegetables while exchanging the latest gist from school. Shade would tease Fumi about her neat handwriting, and Fumi would tease Shade about her well-dance move. The banter always ended in laughter, which their parents found endearing. Once the sun began to set and lanterns flickered on, Fumi and Shade would sit on a small wooden bench beside the house, watching the stars appear in night sky. It was this quiet moment that their deepest dreams came to life. "Fumi," Shade said one evening, her eyes shining with excitement, "one day we will leave Ibadan and explore the whole world. We will see skyscrapers and eat at fancy restaurants." Fumi smiled, hugging her knees close. She wanted to believe in that bright future too. "Yes," she agreed softly, "but let's make sure we stay best friends, no matter how far we go or how big we become." Their bond seemed unbearable, a perfect blend of Shade's bold spirit and Fumi's steady warmth. Together they shared childhood secrets, laughter, and unspoken promise to always have each other's back no matter what. When secondary school ended, Ibadan suddenly felt quieter to Fumi. The familiar giggles and playful banter she used to share daily with Shady were no longer there. On the day they parted ways, they stood in front of Shady's house, each holding a small bag of personal items. Fumi, I'll miss you, Shady said, offering her a half smile. Me too, Fumi replied softly, trying hard not to let tears show. Fumi enrolled at the University of Ibadan to study business administration. Her days quickly filled with lectures, assignments, and the hustle of campus life. She joined the study group, made new friends at her department, and spent late nights in the library. Occasionally, her mother called to check on her progress. Fumi, remember to focus and make us proud, her mother reminded. Yes, Mama, I will, Fumi would answer with quiet determination. Her dream was to graduate with excellent grades and then return to help her parents, who still lived in the modest house in Ibadan. Sometimes, lying on her bed at night, she remembered the times she and Shade used to talk about traveling the world. She wondered if Shade still cherished those dreams. Meanwhile, Shade moved to Lagos to attend a private university and study mass communication. The city of bright lights and constant noise seemed to suit her bold personality. Rumors began to reach Fumi about Shade's new world, lavish parties, designer dresses, and posh hangouts. A mutual friend mentioned that Shade was rarely on campus, always partying in some high-end club. I heard Shade, sorry, she now calls herself another names. She attends fancy events and parties. Really, Fumi asked, genuinely surprised, but she's still a student, right? Fumi tried not to dwell on it too much. She knew Shade had always been adventurous, but the stories about her glamorous lifestyle felt a bit far-fetched. She comforted herself by thinking they were probably exaggerated tales passed from mouth to mouth. By the time Fumi completed her 4-year degree, she had grown into a focused young lady ready to make a difference at home. She packed up her belongings and moved back to her parents' house in Ibadan, excited to see her parents and to reconnect with her old friends. One of the first things she did was to try to reach Shade, hoping they could catch up like old times. But every call ended with a voicemail, and every text went unanswered for days. Eventually, a short reply would appear. Busy right now, we'll call you later. Days turned into weeks, and still no call came. Fumi's heart sank, but she refused to believe Shade would abandon their friendship. She remembered the nights they spent dreaming under the stars, and the promise they made to stay as best friends. Despite the distance, despite the rumors, Fumi clung to that memory. Still, she felt certain that their friendship remained strong. In Lagos, Shade felt like a bird set free. The city's bright billboards, towering buildings, and endless traffic offered a thrill she had never experienced in Ibadan. By day, she studied in a private university, attending classes, handing in assignments, and making just enough effort to keep her grades respectable. But by night, she stepped into a world of fancy restaurants, sleek lounges, and hidden clubs where only the wealthy and well-connected gained entry. Her new friends introduced her to an extravagant lifestyle, and with time, she grew comfortable around them. They were the kind of people who traveled abroad for weekend shopping sprees, drank expensive champagne like it was water, and switched luxury cars the way others changed their clothes. Shade found herself mesmerized by the glitter and confidence they displayed. During one particularly lavish night out, while sipping a fruity cocktail in a swanky bar, Shade leaned over to a friend and told her, "You know, my name is now Laura. Shade sounds too local for me. I need a name that fits my new status. That's why I changed it." The friend, a stylish young woman with manicured nails, tilted her head and smirked. "Laura fits you perfectly," she replied, clinking her glass against Shade's. Once she adopted the name Laura, everything else seemed to shift as well. She began dressing in designer outfits, wearing bold makeup, and becoming more selective about the places she went. Weekend turned into shopping sprees at high-end boutiques, spa appointments that pampered her from head to toe, and exclusive parties inside penthouse suites. Men and women in her circle flaunted their own transformations. Some had undergone cosmetic surgeries to alter their bodies, earning them even more attention and admiration. Laura initially hesitated when these friends proudly shared their surgical journeys. They spoke openly about the pain, the cost, and the ultimate reward, a perfect figure that attracted wealthy men willing to spend huge sum of money on gifts and vacations. But the more Laura witnessed their glossy, confident life, the more she found the idea enticing. She liked the thought of never feeling insecure about her looks. She liked imagining an even more glamorous version of herself, so she joined them. Back in Ibadan, Fumi's life remained steady. She worked each morning in her parents' modest home, helped with household chores, and did her best to find her footing after graduation. She tried calling Shady repeatedly, hoping to chat about the little things, the old memories, new plans, or even just daily gossip. Most times, her call went unanswered. On the few occasions Shady picked up, her responses were so caught and distracted, as though she had better things to do. Still, Fumi refused to give up. She remembered their unbreakable bond in school, the late night whispers about traveling the world together, and Shade's promise to remain best friends. Even though the calls grew less frequent, a part of her still believed their friendship could be saved. Fumi spent many sleepless nights staring at her phone, willing it to ring. Weeks had passed, and with no word from Shade, it weighed heavily on her. At first, she tried to stay calm, reminding herself that Shade's busy schedule might be the only reason for the silence, but the unease grew each time her calls went unanswered. She left voicemails in a trembling voice, whispering, "Shade, please call me, it's Fumi, I really miss you." When that produced no response, she flooded Shade's WhatsApp with messages, short and pleading. Eventually, an unexpected ping lit up Fumi's screen. She snatched her phone in a hurry and saw Shade's text. "Come and visit me in Lagos if you want to see me. I am very busy, please." Fumi reread those words, feeling both relief that Shade was alive and reachable, and apprehension that her friend's tone seemed so distant. She let out a shaky sigh, then told her parents she had to leave for Lagos. They were concerned but understood that Fumi needed to see her oldest friend. "Be careful, my daughter," her mother said softly, pressing a small sum of money into her palm. "And tell Shade we say hello." Fumi nodded, her heart pounding as she hugged her parents goodbye. Early the next morning, she boarded a crowded bus from Ibadan's motor park, navigating the noise of traders, hawkers, and restless travelers. She found a seat by the window. The bus began its journey, the driver honking loudly as it wove onto the expressway. During the ride, Fumi watched the landscape change from the familiar red earth of Ibadan to the bustling outskirts of Lagos. She bit her lower lips, torn between excitement and anxiety. Memories flooded her mind. Shade teaching her new dance steps behind their houses, the two of them giggling over names of famous pop stars and how they used to share everything, even a single piece of candy. "Shade, do you remember our promise?" Fumi muttered under her breath, uncertain if she was asking Shade or herself. As the bus approached Lagos, the city's chaos became clear. Traffic jams, loud horns, and people rushing from one place to another. Fumi gripped her small handbag tightly, her stomach fluttering with nerves. She didn't know how much her friend had changed, but she felt certain one thing hadn't: the love and loyalty she still held for Shade. Her determination grew stronger with every passing minute. No matter what, Fumi promised herself she would support Shade, even if that meant stepping into a world completely different from their childhood days in Ibadan. Fumi stepped out of the taxi and blinked at the towering apartment building in front of her. The sleek glass facade shimmered under the afternoon sun, and a neatly dressed doorman stood at the entrance, ready to help. Nervous excitement churned in her stomach as she walked through the sliding doors into the lobby. Her eyes widened at the sight of sparkling chandeliers and polished marble floors that reflected every ray of light. The cool air smelled faintly of lavender. People glided across the room in stylish clothes, pausing occasionally to greet each other with polite nods. Compared to her simple jeans and faded blouse, Fumi felt underdressed, her heart pounding. "Excuse me, miss, may I help you?" A uniformed security guard asked politely. "Yes, please, I'm here to see Miss Laura," Fumi replied, feeling her voice tremble slightly. "She knows I'm coming." After verifying her name on the guest list, the guard led her to an elevator. The ride up felt impossibly smooth and quick. The elevator opened onto a hallway with plush red carpeting and soft golden light. As she walked towards the door number Shady had sent her, Fumi couldn't help but run her hand over the glossy wallpaper. "Wow," she whispered to herself, impressed and a bit overwhelmed. When the door finally swung open, Fumi froze. Standing in front of her was a poised young woman, impeccably dressed in a designer jumpsuit and a high heels that clicked against the shiny tiled floor. Perfectly manicured nails, flawless makeup, and the scent of expensive perfume greeted Fumi before Shady herself did. The apartment looked nothing like the modest homes in Ibadan. Shady offered her a brief hug, but it felt formal, more like a greeting at a business event than the warm embraces Fumi remembered. She seemed almost like a stranger, her expression guarded, her eyes flicking over Fumi's outfit. "Please don't call me Shady. It's Laura. Everyone knows me as Laura here, remember that." Fumi nodded hastily, feeling a sting in her chest. "Sorry, Laura," she corrected herself, stepping further inside. She tried to recall the joyful girl she used to know, the one who danced barefoot on the dusty Ibadan streets. But Laura's voice, posture, and entire body had changed. "Make yourself comfortable," Laura said coolly. "Just leave your bag in that corner." Fumi set her bag down, scanning the room's decor. It was as if she had entered an entirely different world, one that belonged to a person she barely recognized. She did her best to focus on the good. She was finally seeing her old friend again, after all. Yet, the more Laura spoke, the more Fumi realized how different her friend had become. Later that evening, Laura insisted on treating Fumi to a lavish dinner. They dined at an upscale restaurant located on the rooftop of a tall building. From their table by the window, Fumi could see the bright light of Lagos stretching into the distance. A live band played soft jazz, and waiters in crisp white shirts delivered each course as though it were a special performance. Throughout the meal, Laura appeared relaxed, sipping expensive wine and occasionally leaning across the table to point out a well-known politician or celebrity seated nearby. Fumi, on the other hand, felt both excited and slightly out of place. She had never before experienced such luxury: the glittering chandeliers, the waiters calling her Madame, and the menu with names she could barely pronounce. After dessert, an artistic slice of chocolate cake drizzled with gold-tinted sauce, Laura suggested they head back to her apartment. When they arrived, she slipped off her high heels and tossed her designer purse onto the sofa. Then, with an air of casual confidence, she turned to Fumi. "So, about my life here," Laura began, taking a seat and crossing her legs. Fumi perched on the edge of the armchair, heart thumping. She could sense that whatever Laura was about to say would be important. The large city skyline twinkled through the living room window, but Fumi's focus was locked on her friend's face. Laura leaned forward, looking at Fumi squarely in the eyes. "The men I date here are very powerful and rich. They like me, and in return for, fun times, they'll pay for my bills, buy me gifts, and fund the luxury you see." Fumi's eyes went wide. though she had suspected something unusual. Laura's designer wardrobe, her constant stream of new gadgets, and posh outings. It still felt like a shock to hear her friend admit it so plainly. She swallowed, unsure how to respond. So that's how you afford all of this? Fumi finally managed. Yes, Laura nodded, a small smile curving her lips. Yes, and I am not the only one. Most of my friends here are in the same game. As you can see, some of us have enhanced our bodies. Breast enlargement, hip surgeries, you name it. So we can all even look more attractive to these men. If you travel abroad every other month, all expenses paid. She tossed her hair back and continued in a matter of fact tone. It's the easiest way to live in Lagos. You just have to be brave enough to do it. Be confident, go out with the right men, and never back down from what you want. Fumi's mind spun with questions. Memories of their modest beginnings in Ibadan clashed with the glittery life Laura now described. The designer shoes lined up in the door, the luxurious dinner they had just shared, and the thoughts of traveling to exotic places all tugged at Fumi's curiosity. She felt uneasy but also dazzled by the idea that such a life was even possible. It was so different from the predictable routine she had known back home, where excitement meant visiting the local market or celebrating a friend's birthday with a simple party. Unsure of her own feelings, Fumi pressed her hands together, thinking about how quickly things had changed since their school days. Laura's confession raised more questions than answers, leaving Fumi to wonder what other secret her friend might be hiding and whether she could ever fit into this new bold world. For the next few days, Fumi found herself in a dizzy new world. Laura whisked her to exclusive events hosted in towering penthouses with panoramic views of Lagos skyline. Everywhere Fumi turned, she spotted women draped in high-end fashion, shimmering gowns and designer heels, and jeweled accessories that caught the light. Men in tailored suits handed out compliments as though they were small gifts, each one inflating Fumi's confidence a little more. At a rooftop party one evening, the music paused through the neon lights while guests clinked champagne glasses and swapped stories of private jets and trips to exotic destinations. Laura introduced Fumi to her friends, who greeted her with air kisses and the occasional curious glance. Fumi felt a rush of excitement when one of them exclaimed, "Wow, you're so pretty. Where have you been hiding?" She blushed under the attention, murmuring a shy thank you. Late at night, back in Laura's lavish apartment, the two friends sank into plush sofa cushions. The night event buzzed in Fumi's mind, a mix of awe and disbelief. "If you're going to do this, you might as well do it right," Laura said, crossing her legs. Her expression turned serious, as though she were giving Fumi a life-changing advice. "Look at my body. The surgery changed everything. Men love the curves, they really do." Fumi's gaze moved over Laura's figure, noticing the fitted dress that highlighted every contour. She remembered the men's admiring stares at the party and felt a tug of envy. In Ibadan, she had never considered plastic surgery. That world seemed distant, something she watched on TV or read about in magazines. Now, the possibility was right in front of her. "I've never thought of changing anything," Fumi murmured, fiddling with the hem of her dress. "It's not just the body," Laura continued. "It's the life you get afterward. Everything becomes easier. The attention, the gifts, the money, it's all here for the taking, girl." Fumi felt a flutter of excitement and fear. The idea went against her upbringing. Her parents always taught her to work hard and be content with what she had. Yet, seeing the glamorous parties and Laura's effortless lifestyle made her heart pound with temptation. She remembered the compliments from earlier that night, how good it felt to be admired. Maybe, she thought, just maybe this was a way to finally catch up to Laura's star-like aura. Despite a small voice in her head warning her about the dangers, Fumi let the promise of wealth and thrill swallow her doubts. She wanted to feel special, to shine just like Laura did under those dazzling lights. She decided to join Laura's lifestyle, seeing men in exchange for money and gifts. At first, it gave her a rush, but soon, Fumi realized that in this world, there was always something new to chase: more money, more attention, and a better, more perfect body. Fumi's new lifestyle brought her an endless sware of nightclubs, expensive restaurants, and flashy social media posts. But the more she tried to fit in, the more she noticed a gap between her and Laura. Men who had once admired her soon began to compare her looks to Laura's. One evening, while sipping champagne at a private lounge, one of them casually remarked, "Your friend looks hotter." He spoke like it was just a harmless observation, not realize how each word tore at Fumi's confidence. She tried to dismiss the comment, but it lingered in her thoughts. Each time she caught her reflection in a mirror or at a store window, she found herself noticing all the ways she didn't measure up to Laura's curvy figure. The feeling grew worse every time someone handed Laura lavish gifts or invited her to exclusive events, while Fumi received only half-interested glances. Eventually, she confronted Laura about it. In a tense conversation in the living room, Fumi admitted she felt overshadowed. "You get all the attention," she blurted, her voice trembling. "It's the body," Lara replied with a casual shrug passing on her own lip. "I did mine in Turkey. Well, it hurt at first, but it's actually worth it." The mention of surgery made Fumi's stomach clenched. She had heard whispers of women traveling abroad for procedures like Brazilian butt lifts, commonly called BBLs, but never imagined going down that path. Yet the thought of closing the gap between her and Laura was tempting. Soon, her curiosity turned into an obsession. Every free moment, she searched online for clinics and scrolled through before and after photos. Some images were stunning transformations, but others were horror stories of botched surgeries. Her mind wavered between fear and excitement. Despite several warnings from people around her, Fumi convinced herself that this was the only way to keep up in this fast-paced world. After all, if she wanted the highest paying client and the best gift, she needed to look the part. She researched clinics day and night, determined to find the top-rated option. When she finally booked an appointment, her hands shook with a mix of dread and eagerness. Laura noticed the changes in Fumi's behavior. During a late-night chat in the apartment, she looked at Fumi with guilt in her eyes. "Sure you want to do this for me?" Laura asked softly. "It's risky, you know." Fumi, already blinded by jealousy and longing for approval, nodded firmly. "Yes, I'm ready. I want to do this." Lara opened her mouth as if to say more, but then sighed, leaving her words unspoken. Whether it was fear or regret, something flickered on her face, but Fumi chose to ignore it. She believed this surgery was her ticket to the life she had always dreamt about, one where she never had to feel second best again. The morning sun was just rising when Laura and Fumi arrived at the clinic. The air felt unusually still, as if the city itself sensed their apprehension. Laura tried to maintain an appearance of calm, scrolling through her phone in the waiting area, but every so often she cast anxious glances towards Fumi, who sat with her hands clasped tightly in her laps. The doctor eventually appeared, wearing a white coat and practiced smile. After shaking both their hands, he explained the surgery step by step, describing the anesthesia, the possible complications, and the lengthy recovery processes. His voice was measured, but Fumi could hear an underlying firmness. This is not without risks. Still, she felt a surge of determination. She had come this far, and now all she wanted was to be out of the shadow she believed she had been living in. "Are you sure about this?" Laura asked, trying one last time to meet Fumi's gaze. "Yes," Fumi replied. "I want to feel very confident." Fumi signed the necessary papers with trembling hands. An assistant then led her to a room where she changed into a hospital gown. Laura waited outside, pacing the hallway, telling herself repeatedly that everything would be fine. She remembered her own surgery, how much it had hurt, yes, but also how exciting it was to see the final result. Fumi would be okay, she told herself. She would wake up, see the changes, and be happy. Hours passed. The overhead lights in the waiting room hummed softly, and the seats gradually filled with other patients and their relatives. Laura lost track of time, consumed by growing worry. She stared at her phone, pretending to scroll through social media just to distract herself, but she couldn't stop her mind from conjuring worst-case scenarios. Then the sound of frantic footsteps erupted. A nurse dashed out of the operating room, calling for more help. Machines beeped somewhere down the hallway, their shrill tones growing louder and more urgent. Laura stood, heart pounding, but no one paused long enough to explain. She hurried to the glass door, trying to see inside. All she caught were glimpses of doctors and nurses crowding around an operating table. Finally, a doctor emerged, his face grave. He put Laura aside. "We did everything we could," he began, his voice thick with regret. "There were unforeseen complications." Her heart rate dropped suddenly. "I'm very sorry." Laura's knees went weak. She stumbled, clutching the wall for support. Fumi, gone? It felt unreal. Tears streamed down her cheeks as she stumbled into the corridor outside the theater. "Wake up, Fumi," she whispered to the silent room, but her old long friend was gone. Later, when Fumi's parents arrived, their devastation was palpable. Her mother wailed, unable to understand why her daughter would take such a drastic step. Her father stood stiffly, hands balled into fists, his eyes burning with anger and grief. They demanded explanations from the doctor, the nurses, anyone who could listen. Why would she do this? Fumi's mother cried. Who told her this was worth risking her life for? In their grief, her parents blamed Laura for luring Fumi into such a dangerous lifestyle. They were convinced Laura's influence had driven their child to a fatal decision. The police were called, and Laura found herself answering tense questions in a small sterile office. Despite her protest that Fumi had made her own choices, guilt gnawed at her every time she pictured Fumi's smile or remembered the simple life they once shared in Ibadan. Laura sat in a stiff plastic chair at the police station, hands trembling as she explained her side of the story again and again. The room smelled faintly of disinfectant, and the cold fluorescent light made every shadow appear sharper. Fumi's parents stood nearby, their faces contracted with a mix of pain and anger, demanding answers. They insisted Laura be charged with wrongdoing, but the more the authorities investigated, the clearer it became that Fumi had made her own choices. Eventually, Laura was released. No legal charges stood against her. She was free to return to her luxurious apartment. Yet, she couldn't escape the weight of what had happened. Walking through the doors of her once prized home, she noticed the silence more than ever. The glossy surfaces and the expensive furniture felt hollow, and the drapes that used to bring her joy now only reminded her of Fumi's last days. "I wish I never asked Fumi to visit," Laura sobbed to a friend over the phone, her voice harsh from the days of crying. Maybe she would still be alive in Ibadan, living a happy, simple life. Although no longer facing police charges, her mind remained locked in an endless loop of guilt. Each time she tried to distract herself by shopping online or visiting exclusive lounges, her thoughts returned to Fumi. She saw flashes of them as children, running barefoot on the dusty streets of Ibadan, laughing over silly jokes. Now, that laughter was forever silenced. The once glamorous life felt empty. Money, designer clothes, and her upscale apartment offered little comfort when the fate of her lost friend haunted her dreams. As time passed, People around her continued living their busy, glittering lives, but Laura found herself pulling away. The very world she once loved felt like a constant reminder of everything that she had lost. In the end, Laura realized that beneath the glow of luxury and the attention of powerful men, there lay a world that demanded constant sacrifice. She now had to live with the regret of knowing her friend's death was tied to decisions she herself had encouraged. Though absolved legally, she bore an emotional sentence far heavier than any prison could hold. The story shows that chasing luxury through dangerous shortcuts often leads to regret and tragedy. It reminds us that each person's decision comes with lasting consequences, and that a single act of envy or desperation can destroy precious relationships. It also teaches that no amount of money or glamour can fill the void left by true friendship or a clear conscience. Thank you so much for watching this fantastic story on African Stories by Tiana. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell for more amazing stories. See you next time.